Hey yo, how's it going? Manny here. As many of you know, in the latest Honkai Star Rail livestream, it was revealed that Dr. Ratio will be received for absolute free. And with this, a few things did come into my mind and I did overanalyze a little bit the livestream to kind of get a bit of a better idea about his kit because I was very curious and I'm genuinely excited for this character. However, upon looking further and further into him, I kind of realized that he doesn't seem to be the most free-to-play friendly of characters. Let me explain. From the live stream, we learned that he appears to be more synergistic with Nihility characters as opposed to Harmony characters. This is because he has a percentage chance to do his follow-up attack that gets increased based on the number of debuffs that an opponent has. In the livestream, we saw that the base chance starts at 40%, and while we do not know how much every debuff will increase the percentage chance, it is safe to assume that the percentage will be an increase of 15 to 20%, since it will require 3 to 4 debuffs to be applied to an enemy, which is not a lot, but it's also not very little, especially depending on the types of teams that you're running. And if you want to guarantee these follow-up attacks, you really need to make sure that you have these 3 to 4 debuffs ongoing at all times. It is important to note that Dr. Ratio's ultimate is very likely to be considered a debuff as well, otherwise I feel like his ultimate wouldn't be synergistic with itself, right? So hopefully that can help out massively, but I wouldn't count that as one of the debuffs, since that means that when the ultimate's not on, you would have a 85-80% to get the follow-up attack when the ultimate is not ongoing, and that is inconsistent, which means it's not the best, in my opinion. I do have to say though that his design is very flavorful, and I say this because as stated in the live stream, Dr. Ratio has some narcissism going for him, and it is very accurate that he looks down upon others, especially after they've been debuffed and reduced to nothing. So I'm very much a fan of this. It is because of these reasons that I feel like there are very few characters that can actually work as best as possible with Dr. Ratio, and the two main contenders, as also seen like the thumbnail, are definitely Silverwolf, that I believe can apply up to 5 different debuffs because her regular passive applies 3 different types of debuffs, her E applies a debuff, her ultimate applies another debuff. So that Silverwolf just means that you're gonna guarantee be able to land every single follow-up attack on Dr. Ratio. Another character that will work wonders with Dr. Ratio is obviously Topaz. Topaz has the ability to implant a mark on an enemy, which is considered a debuff, that makes enemies take increased follow-up attack damage. And not only that, but if you were to have Topaz's light cone, that is also considered a debuff. The tame mark effect is also considered a debuff, which I feel is absolutely wonderful, and it is really good to have in my opinion. The third character is one that didn't really come to mind immediately, and I only realized when I was looking more into the Nihility characters, but Welt. Welt is able to apply up to 3 different debuffs. He's able to apply slows with his skill, imprisonment with his ultimate, and vulnerability also with his ultimate once you unlock his Ascension 2, I believe, passive. So it's really effective to guarantee that you can get Dr. Ratio's attacks ongoing. Naturally, Silverwolf is going to be much better as an option since she's going to be consistently applying 3 to 4 different debuffs at the same time over and over again. So I still feel like she's like the better solution, but if you have Welt, then that's a really good choice. Honorable mentions, of course, have to be Pela and Gunaifen, 2 amazing Nihility characters. And while Dr. Ratio synergizes really well with Nihility, you can never go wrong going with Harmony. Just know that you might find it harder to apply the debuffs in order to guarantee Dr. Ratio's follow-up attacks, which does kind of lead me into a thing that is a bit of an annoyance in my opinion. But Hanya's Burden Mark is not considered a debuff. This is also true for Clara's Mark of Counter. These are considered other effects. They're not debuffs, so therefore they will not help Dr. Ratio get his consistency higher. And well, as for like sustain, personally, I feel like Luocha is just absolutely amazing since every follow-up attack means that you're gonna be healing, so you just kind of have a very, very healthy team. And funnily enough, Japard, because he's able to apply a freeze, which is also considered a debuff. He's able to keep your team alive with shields, but you can also play him with the Trend of the Universal Market, the Litecoin that has Topaz on it, funnily enough, which makes it so that if an enemy attacks Japard, they will be afflicted with a burn, which again is considered a debuff. So there's another benefit right there. I feel like it's not the best choice, but it's still a good one if you want to reach that quota. And I feel like it's something that I'm gonna personally be running. But that is where my issue lies, is that so many of these characters are 5 stars. So many of these like best characters for Dr. Ratio's consistency and viability, not necessarily viability, but definitely the consistency part, are 5 stars. Some of these being limited, others being like permanent, but they're not the best. They're still really good, but not like the super best characters to add on to this. So that might lead to some problems with team building for other free-to-play players. So I do feel bad in that regard. But also, Litecoins are a big thing. So there really doesn't seem to be any good free-to-play Litecoins. Like, obviously his best in slot is gonna be his own Litecoin, where he's in his little bathtub looking absolutely amazing. But the next one is gonna be Topaz's. Again, a limited Litecoin, which also, if you do have the Topaz Litecoin, it's very likely that you already have Topaz yourself. And if you're running Topaz and Dr. Ratio on the same team, it makes little to any sense to be running Dr. Ratio on Topaz's Litecoin and Topaz on a different Litecoin. So there goes a bit of problems, I feel, right? So it really just leaves you with one option, which is the free-to-play 5-star Litecoin that is found in Herda Shop, which, again, like it's not a bad Litecoin, but I feel like there should be another Litecoin that might like benefit you further, even on the 4 stars. I want to assume that Swordplay could potentially be pretty good for him, since you're gonna be constantly attacking with follow-up attacks, so that can work. I'm not entirely sure about it, but that could potentially be really good. Aside from that, there just isn't really anything that can help him out, I feel. Beyond it all, there just seems to be issues going on and on and on. And I'm just scared for how free-to-play players will take the arrival of Dr. Ratio. Now, some people are excited and hyped about him, but I feel like he's a character that is very restrictive in how his teams need to be, and the way to build him might be a bit awkward. I also say this because in order to build Dr. Ratio, you need to farm 2 different Caverns of Corrosion, because the 4-piece for Ash Blazing Duke is not beneficial for him, since it seems that his follow-up attack is only 1 singular hit, and Ash Blazing Duke requires you to do many hits in order to get a bigger buff. So the way that I think he's probably going to be built is that you're going to be having 2-piece Ash Blazing, 2-piece Bandit, which I believe it's the Imaginary set, and 2-piece Inertial Soto, and that will be your Dr. Ratio. But again, it's a lot of different farming, so it might be a bit awkward to gain initially. But yeah, that's essentially been my reasoning as to why I don't think Dr. Ratio might be the most free-to-play friendly character that's ever existed, and I feel like he might have a few problems. I'm hoping I am wrong, but if you have watched all the way up to this point, thank you very much. If you are into this kind of content, definitely click the subscribe button. It only takes a second, and I promise you won't regret it. I've been having a lot of fun making these videos, and I really appreciate all the support and all the discussions that we've been having in different videos. I hope to see you all in the next one, and yeah, bye.